No, but I've done a few.
Did you have any issue with it being?
No, he's really very, very,
Yes.
so-
Okay.
That'd be fine. Hi, how are you today? You need my email address. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on this. Morning, George.
Good morning. Good morning.
How you doing this morning?
What's going on with number?
Doing soul food. Big Ted is,
Could be a short meeting.
Hour on August 15th? That's the third Wednesday.
we did some corrections based on the value review for
Arlene do retirement board. I don't know how I did that.
the previous one, I thought assessment appeal as well.
Oh, no, wait. No. Retirement board's the second and fourth. What am I thinking?
Retirement.
I'm so tired, I'm in Tulare County. I'm working for Fresno County in my head again. They met on their retirement board met on the first and third Wednesdays.
Oh, you know,
That's what I get for freaking out on other things going
I've
on
got
in my
enough
state.
civic activities to keep.
You ready to go? Okay, good.
that's good.
I'd like to call the March 19th meeting of the Assessment Appeals Board is now open. And the first item on our agenda is board members, staff, and assessors' comments from the board members. Any comments? From the staff? And from the assessor? Any comments you want to make today? Today's meeting, I think, is going to go very quickly. Second item on the agenda is our discussion of draft of the rules, and I'd like to move that to later in the agenda. Okay, good. We'll make that now agenda item number 15. Is there any members of the public? Are you a applicant or a member of the public? Sir? I'm a member of the public. Okay, and would you like to address the board? I'm here for Tulare Frozen Food. Okay, so in effect, what it amounts to is that that's an agenda item, and then we'll get to it in a moment. Petition to have an application deemed timely, agenda item number 3. Sowall Inc., Kevin Patel, is he present? Seeing that he is not, then is that something that we want to address as a non-appearance?
Well, we do not currently have in our local rules a specific rule regarding having to show up in person for this type of petition. We're in the process of asking your board to add that,
Right.
but it is not presently there, so your board should go ahead and consider it on the merits.
So then I'll ask the clerk to give us the particulars, or the assessor to give us the particulars.
Yeah, I can do that,
Okay?
Chairman. What we've got is, as my understanding, is that this taxpayer bought this property at auction in July of 2011. And so he got the tax bill for the value on January 1st, even though, he didn't buy it until July. And so the assessor hasn't gotten around to changing the value as of July, either to match what he bought it for, if that's its true value, or to set a market value for it. They just haven't had time in their workload to go back and do an up or down supplemental on it. And so he was just, he missed the deadline for the regular appeal for the value as of January 1st, 2011, because he didn't file this until February of 2012, and the deadline would have been late November 2011. And so he doesn't fit into any of the statutory grounds, but he still thinks you should let this go forward based on the regular assessment for January 1st of 2011.
Any reason?
Yeah, the assessor's late.
Okay. That's the only
But,
issue.
but, you know, it doesn't fit the statutory criteria, because even if the assessor does change the value as of July, when he bought it, he still has to pay the taxes based on the snapshot of January 1st, unless he gets that value lowered. Well, he still has to pay the taxes, but he wouldn't get a refund.
Chairman, well, maybe kind of help you with your decision here. His corporation already has an assessment appeal filed on this particular property, so the redundancy of this second appeal, if it's permitted, would really be useless for them, because we're either going to change the value through the change in ownership or the assessment appeal they already have filed on the property.
Okay. I failed to declare who the sitting members are today, so I'd like to go back and indicate that William McKinley, Lance Morris, and myself are the sitting panel members today. What would you, let me just ask the board what their,
It just seems like just get it off the agenda if it's not gonna do them any good. If they, you know.
If that's the case, then we're gonna have a problem with that.
okay. So if that is the feelings of the board, do I hear a motion as to deny this issue based upon circumstances that we've just heard?
Deny this request based on the information we've heard.
I'll second that.
You have a motion and a second, all signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries, so this is denied.
Do you, oh, that is the next one. I was going to say, do you want to skip to Tulare Frozen Food since he's here? But
No,
that is
there's-
number 4.
Right. Next item on the agenda is item number 4, Larry Frozen Foods, Michael Smith. And there evidently is a stipulation from the assessor. Okay. Would you like to give us the details of the stipulation?
Before we do that, let's announce that we do have a different panel on this one, because we had actually started the hearing and received some evidence.
I see. Okay, so the panel members are myself, William McKinley, and Glenn Fowler. Now, so do we need to go back and establish them as the?
No, I just wanted to get it into the oral part of the
Right.
record.
Okay, very good. So if the assessor would like to read in the stipulation?
higher value versus the 2009 appraisal, which you would think the 2009 would have a higher value. There was also one asset that was omitted on the 2009 appraisal, and it was for a lot of piping. That was the exact description on the appraisal, and the value on that was $912,000. So we did add some value. We added $1,624,065 to the appraisal value from 2009. In addition, we estimated $1,005. We weren't able to recreate what was there at that time, so we estimated to suffice the rental value.
Okay, and the applicant has agreed to this and signed it?
Correct. Oh, and let me add to this, the net taxable value for the assessment is $5,886,885, and the taxpayer has agreed to pay that.
Okay. Any other discussion by the board? Then I'd like to hear a motion to accept the stipulation as read in by the assessor.
Application number 2009-00871, Tulare County Frozen Foods. I move that we accept the stipulation as presented by the assessor.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to accept the assessor's stipulation. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item number 5, John Hovnesian. I don't see anybody in the audience. Does the assessor have any information regarding, I understand that there's one application is being withdrawn, the other application they wanted to hear.
Correct. Mr. Zimmerman, on the 13th, we received a signed withdrawal for the application 1629. The application number 64, we've been in contact with Mr. Hovnesian about the specific one. He filed the application on a construction supplemental for 2 carports that he built on an investment property. In reviewing the record, we went ahead and reduced that supplemental value to 0, not adding any value for the carports and correcting it. Mr. Hovnesian had indicated that his intent was to actually file on the change of ownership that occurred prior to that, but he had gotten the wrong supplemental number on the application. We've advised Mr. Hovnesian that he needs to speak with the clerk about amending the application to reflect that so that we can deal with that specific issue. I've heard nothing further after that initial conversation. To my knowledge, he hasn't talked to the clerk either to amend that.
I have had that conversation with Mr. Hovnesian, and to amend that now would have to be a board decision. So that's what I explained to him. And his intent was to be here today, so I don't know what.
And he just walked in. Yes, we're considering your application. And we have an issue with 2 of the board members on your application. You're a client of mine and past client, and we've known each other for a long time. And I believe that Lance is a member of a CPA firm that also does work for you. Both of us would recuse ourselves on this particular issue. The withdrawal is not a problem, but there's one of the applications are going to move forward, then we need to declare that at this point.
Yes, sir. The Assessment Appeals Board is a 3-member sitting panel. And right now, so we have a panel for the day, but we only have 1 alternate. We have a vacant position on the board. So there's the possibility that if you go ahead with your hearing with just 2 board members, and this is true for the assessor as well, that there's a possibility that they could vote 1-to-1. And the rules provide in that situation that you have to start over and do a new hearing with a 3-member panel. And so we just have to figure out a way to get a 3-member panel, get somebody appointed temporarily or whatever we could do. So the parties have the option of saying, yes, I want to go forward with my hearing today and take the chance that it'll be a 1-to-1 vote instead of 2-0. Or, no, it's too much trouble to proceed with the hearing today and then have to do it all over again if they do split 1-to-1. So that's why it's up to the parties to decide whether they're willing to go forward with just 2 board members.
I see.
Regarding the second application, change that to amend that application. The assessor has no objection and would stipulate to that.
I fouled up. I did it on the supplemental instead of the change of ownership.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, sir. Before we get to the merits, we would like to know if the parties are okay with going ahead with 2 board members.
Yeah, I'm willing to go ahead,
We have no objection.
if
Okay.
it's okay.
Then
Okay?
I'll hand it over to Mr. McKinley. Okay.
Now, your 2 board members will be the 2 of us here. You notice we're the ones that have got the gray hair.
So for the record, that'll be Mr. McKinley and Mr. Fowler.
Now, explain what you said again. Is it,
I believe that Mr. Hovnesian has spoken with one of our appraisal staff, and what I understand, Mr. Hovnesian, the contention is that on the second application we're considering today, that you originally intended to file on the change of ownership rather than supplemental for the construction.
Right.
And as indicated by Ms. Langley here, the assessor's office has no objection to amending that application and then reviewing that specific change in ownership for him. We already have gone through and corrected the supplemental issue associated with the carport construction, so if the board's fine to do so, we would have no problem with that.
as I understand it now, what they're telling you is that one of your applications is already finished up and done.
I want to change it if we can. I did it on a supplemental by a mistake, and I want to change it to change of ownership.
All right, and what they would like, they say that you would like to amend that application, and then that they would review it again before it was necessary to bring it to the board. Now, so in effect, if we just, at this point, accept some sort of delay so that you can amend that statement, then you would have time enough to work with the assessor to get the thing straightened out before coming here to get it decided. But right now,
Whatever way.
right now, we don't, we're worried about the fact that you got a wrong application in here, that they want to amend the application so that it's correct and then go ahead and work on it. Is that a correct summary of it, Mr.?
That is correct, Mr. McKinley.
So if you would like, the board could just simply say, okay, we accept your time to prepare an amendment and give it to the assessor so that you could work together. That would be acceptable to us. Would it be acceptable to you?
Well, my question is, can we go ahead and go ahead with the procedure today as change of ownership?
Okay.
If the assessor is prepared to go forward.
Mr. Hovnesian, the application, because it specifically addressed the construction because the application specifically addressed that construction supplemental, that was the issue that I'm constrained to look at in that particular one. I have no problem going back and reviewing that change in ownership as long as you can amend the application. And my understanding, the board's recommending that we, either you or I, postpone the hearing today, the starting of the hearing, so that it gives you time to speak to the clerk and amend the application, and then I can set a staff member to review that within the next week or so.
So in other words, don't do anything today.
That would be my advice to you, but that's, you remember who you're taking the advice from, though.
Excuse me, Mr. McKinley, Mr. Chairman, the clerk can't amend the application once the filing deadline is passed. It has to be an action by the board to accept the amendment.
Under the circumstances here, there is the opportunity after the filing period has expired for certain things to happen, but here it is, the effect of the amendment would be to request relief additional to or different in nature from that originally requested. So what the rules provide here is that the board, in its discretion, may allow the applicant to make amendments that the clerk can't allow. So the actions then that the parties are essentially stipulating to here is on the 2009 application to approve the withdrawal, and then on the 2010 application to grant the request to make an amendment.
All right. Between the two of us, this has got to be interesting. Do you want to make the motion to accept the withdrawal?
And then, excuse me, one more thing. Another thing we want to look at, I'm trying to see if I have a waiver agreement, because if we're not going to go ahead and hear it today, the deadline would be August 6, 2010, and really we would need a waiver agreement
Because we'll be within the 4 months pretty quick.
from the app. That
I'll
would
make
need
a
to
motion.
be two.
I second the motion to withdraw. All those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye. Aye, okay. Now, the next motion would be a motion,
On the 2010 application,
2010?
to allow an amendment at,
2010, allow the amendment?
to, what are we doing?
We're going to amend it to change it from the construction supplemental bill to a new ownership supplemental number.
Okay.
You have that number?
I do, the board, give me one moment. The supplemental number is going to be 990-196-344.
Which presumably was also sent in June-ish.
If we do this within 2 months,
That is correct, Ms. Grunwald.
when is our next meeting?
June.
By June, you're right, June, I'm sorry.
July is still comfortably before the expiration of the,
It is before the expiration date, it is within the last 120 days of the expiration.
I'm sorry, it isn't November, it's August. August is month 8, month 4. So actually, he'll be within 4 months by the time we come back, so we do need to grant, that motion would need to be conditional on signing the 2-year waiver.
I move that on the 2010 application, that we grant until the July meeting a time to amend the application, provided that the taxpayer will sign the 2-year waiver, the waiver of the 2 years.
Is that clear enough, Madam Clerk?
But
I would just have a question. You said time to amend. You would be approving an amendment today. Okay. That's,
To approve the amendment today, and then would we postpone the hearing
And
until, is July an
postponing-
okay time to come back and do the hearing on the merits?
on June 18.
He said July.
Oh, you said July? Is that what the date you want? Contingent upon a waiver agreement, correct,
Right.
Mr. McKinley? Okay,
I moved there, yeah.
all right.
There's a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Your motion is carried.
Let me see what my date is.
16th, July 16th. Clear as mud?
Okay, I'm all done.
What we need to have you do is some additional paperwork with the clerk. Can you do the amendment without his help now that the board has approved it?
Yes, we're fine.
Okay, but we do need to have you sign a waiver form. The board normally has to make its decision within 2 years from the time you filed your appeal, which was August of 2010. And so just in case we don't get that done, because we're getting so close to the end of that time period, we're asking you to waive that normal limit.
So we're gonna do this at a later date then?
So we'll do this is July 16th is what we just approved. And so we'll need you to hang on just a second and sign this form she's filling out for you.
I'm gonna sign a waiver form.
Right.
Okay, going back to our regular agenda, Susie Robinson, is there anything from the assessor on that? I don't see anybody in the audience.
Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Robinson, we spoke with her, and we've already corrected the record to her opinion of value. She was under some level of confusion about how the process worked, and so she responded that she was going to appear today in error, and she's fine with the reductions we've already done for her, and apparently did not attend.
So in this particular case then, as far as the agenda item is concerned, we just accept it as non-appearance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Regarding agenda item number 6, any other comments from the board? And do I hear a motion to deny for lack of appearance?
I move that agenda item number 6, application number 201000029 be denied for appearance, for non-appearance.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda item number 6 is denied for non-appearance. And regarding agenda item number 7, Butler Manufacturing, that one is there a request to, on that for stipulation or withdrawal? They submitted a postponement.
I don't see that.
Currently, the taxpayer is undergoing an audit, and we don't foresee this being completed until maybe July or August.
Okay. Comment from the board? Questions?
It's a 2010. Let me look at number 7 quickly here. It was filed in December, so we would be okay to continue it to this summer without a 2-year waiver. Did they sign a 2-year
I
waiver
do have a
anyway?
two,
They postponed, they did the 2-year waiver, so we can continue it to whenever, postpone it to whenever we want.
What's the date we want to postpone it to?
September?
And the date of the September meeting is,
Let me flip over to that page, 17th.
yeah, September 17th.
Sure. Sure, I don't have those on here yet, but it's probably, October 15th.
okay, we have a request to postpone agenda item number 7 till October 15th. Have a motion?
Move that we postpone agenda item number 7, application 2010-00879 to October 16th.
15th. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. That takes care of agenda item number 7. Regarding agenda items 8 through,
We do have one stip.
12.
Number 12.
Okay. I had 2 stipulations, but the one labeled capstone is actually Tulare Frozen Foods, so that's why we have that second sheet of paper that's labeled a stipulation that isn't under the docket in that name. So we would want to take a separate action on number 12.
okay? Let's do that first. The assessor prepared to read in your stipulation?
The personal property value remained the same, it's a negative $23,402,430. A net taxable value is $1,577,531. For the year 2009, the application number is 2010-00837. Assessment number is 800-243-349-000-2009. The improvement value is $24,139,498. Personal property value remains the same, a negative $22,547,833, for a net taxable value of $1,577,531.
Okay, and the applicant has agreed to and signed the stipulation. Okay. Regarding agenda item number 12, VF Outdoor, do I hear a motion to accept the assessor's stipulation?
Application number 2010-00838 and 2010-00837. I move that we accept the stipulation as presented by the assessor.
Hear a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I did neglect to mention orally for our recording that after item 5 was heard, we did go back to our regular panel for the day.
Yes,
So Mr. McKinley, Mr. Zuni, and Mr. Morris.
very good.
I would like to ask, how can you have the big negative number on the,
During the original processing season, how much process payments, when those figures were enrolled into our PIN system, they were enrolled as personal property and not trade.
basically changing it?
During the audit, they would change, the classification of the property, from classification to trade factory, to warehouse, and authority to become in a warehouse and trade factory related.
It's more accounting than,
Okay. Regarding agenda item number, we're going to go back and address 8, 9, 10, and 11. but-
13.
And 15.
Item
13.
number 13 has a postponement request.
Yes, that's what
Okay,
I was going to
So
ask.
13.
Okay. And
So let's just, 11.
item number 13, you said was requesting a postponement.
As a postponement request.
Right. And when are they wanting to postpone it till?
I don't have a date that they're wanting to postpone until, maybe the assessor would have an idea of what they would like, but they want to postpone the reason for it is because their corporate office in Connecticut wants to handle the 2010 and 11. There's appeals at the same time, so these two appeals were filed for the same situation. So they want to include other appeals with this one.
Sister, have any objection?
No objection, because there's outstanding appeals for the audit that was conducted, which were filed after the original appeal.
Okay, so in effect, we're going to postpone it to a future date. Okay?
I don't know if they signed a 2-year waiver, but we're okay because it's December of 2010 that we're looking at. So if we postpone it to sometime this
We're
summer.
okay, we do have a waiver agreement.
We have a waiver, so we can postpone it to whenever is good for the audit is completed?
Correct.
So we could do it anytime this summer or fall and be okay.
Okay?
You have a preference, I don't know if they expressed a preference on the
I didn't get a
postponement date. Does the assessor have a preference? Okay. Well, shall we just do it till June then?
What's the next meeting?
June,
June.
because we're hitting our break.
Okay, I move that on agenda item number 13, applications number 2010-00897, application number 2010-00898, and that we postpone this hearing until June.
18th.
You have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to postpone agenda item number 13 to June 18th of this year, 2012. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Let's go back then and take, if I'm correct, everything has been done. We have settled the issues on all the agenda items except 8, 9, 10, 11, withdrawals and rules.
That sounds correct to me.
Correct. Okay. Is there any issues that the assessor would like to comment on as to why agenda item number 8, 9, 10, and 11 have not appeared? Is there any other comments that you have regarding those?
Mr. Chairman, it would appear that the assessor's office in each one of these instances has either come close to meeting the applicant's opinion of value or attempted contact with the taxpayer in order to address these issues and has had no response. So at this point in time, items 8, 9, and 10 and 11, we've either done a correction or made some effort towards it and have received no response from the taxpayer.
And what was the status of Beckman Coulter 11?
No response.
No response. Interesting. Okay, then do we hear a motion to deny for non-appearance agenda item number 8, 9, 10, and 11?
Move that we, application, let me do it by agenda item, is that
Yeah.
acceptable?
Agenda item's fine.
That's fine.
I move that agenda items 8, 9, 10, and 11 be denied for non-appearance.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries for agenda item number 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, regarding withdrawals, let me just make sure that the withdrawal for agenda item number 5, John Hovnesian, has been taken care of.
Yes, there was
Right.
a
That's-
motion for that.
Okay, because in effect, what it amounts to is I wanted to make sure that we didn't have to, I don't have any problem with the remainder of the items, and,
Yeah, they're not on the list.
right,
They were under item
Right,
5.
by
So
themselves.
item 14 does not include them.
right. So, regarding the withdrawal calendar, do I hear a motion to accept the withdrawal calendar for March 19th, 2012?
I move that we accept the withdrawal calendar for March 19th, 2012, items 1 through 36.
Or a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. So, that takes care of all of the items except agenda item number 15th, which are the rules. They've all been, have all of the board members seen the revised rule? I'd like to hear a motion to accept the proposed changes to the rules.
And direct staff to submit it to the Board of Supervisors for approval.
Direct staff to submit it to the Board of Supervisors for approval. Hear a motion?
Run with this and submit it to the supervisors.
Second.
Have a,
That's sufficient?
we have a motion and a second regarding the modification of the rules. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much. I do want to say that these aren't in stone. There is no reason that we can't start collecting a list of other things that you notice as we go along that aren't working or that could be improved in some way. And whenever we get to the first one, we'll open a file for the 2015 amendments, however we want to do it. So we want to, these need to be a good working set of rules that you can rely on, that your clerk can rely on in between board meetings, and so where there's gaps or incorrect things that we want to keep up on, making them read the way you want them to.
I'd like to acknowledge that we have a new gavel that I want to thank the clerk for.
It has Mr. Zunian's name on it.
So if there's no additional items to be heard on the March 19th, 2012 Assessment Appeals Board hearing, the hearing is now closed.
That sounds more